After the success of my initial Call of Duty Mobile storyline video, and from seeing all of the fan reception in the comments, I knew that we would have to return to the story to finish it. When we left off, the heroes had taken some serious losses and were trying to recover, as Makarov Templar and his mysterious employer continue to make moves across the globe. We saw the sad death of Tank Dempsey. This is where the storyline is continuing. Now, if you have not watched the first parts of this video, I will have it linked in this video's description. For a quick recap, Call of Duty Mobile's storyline kind of reads like fan fiction. They've taken a lot of Call of Duty characters and they've told a completely different story that is so wild and out there compared to the regular Call of Duty campaigns, and honestly, I love it for that. It's so interesting. And in terms of Primis themselves, we can kind of look at this story as just yet another story in the infinite multiverse that existed in the Aether storyline, and these events may have happened in one of the cycles, considering that there were a near infinite of cycles that repeated over and over again. You can kind of look at this story as a what if. And I thought it would be really interesting to share the COD Mobile storyline for you because so many people are just so unfamiliar with it, and I asked people in the comments of the last video if you knew about this story, and so many people said they didn't and were excited and thrilled to jump into an untold story in the Call of Duty universe. And Call of Duty Mobile, of course, is a big mashup of all of the previous Call of Duties. You have returning maps, characters, weapons, etc. So it's really cool to see all of these events colliding, and characters we never thought would be side by side. Anyways, continuing the story of Primis, we received Undead Siege between Season 5 and 6 in 2021. This story kind of served as a conclusion to their storyline. The issue begins with a shot of a graveyard during the funeral scene of Tank Dempsey from earlier in the comic series. Richtofen thinks to himself, "I am not a good man," as the rain pours down on the people around the gravesite. But he was not simply good, but necessary. Richtofen, Takio, and Nikolai leave and begin a conversation once back at the base of operations. They agree without Dempsey that their mission is over. Richtofen suggests that they can simply get him back. Nikolai argues that surely Richtofen has learned by now bringing back the dead is impossible. Richtofen smirks and agrees, but he says that they do not need to bring him back, they can simply use the summoning key. It glows as he removes it from his pocket. After some arguing, they agree to use it to travel the multiverse and find another Dempsey who isn't dead. At first, they struggle to find a living Dempsey and struggle to keep him alive if they do. They hop between various timelines, Black Ops 3's future era, World War II, and even entirely unfamiliar times and places. Finally, they get their target, a living Dempsey who can help finish their mission. It takes some convincing, but he agrees to join them, even though he thinks they are crazy. To prove he speaks the truth, Richtofen pulls out the summoning key to show the new Dempsey. However, its powers do not activate. In horror, Richtofen gasps. He yells, "Something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong," as Undead begin to rise out of the ground and come towards them. Sometime later, Richtofen laments over a machine, complaining that his flawless calculations could not have brought them to the wrong place. Nikolai gives him words of encouragement as he checks on an unconscious Takio. Of course, unfortunately, Takio's voice actor suffered a stroke and is no longer able to voice act, so this is why he is unconscious in this storyline. Primis work together to hold off a giant horde of the undead as Richtofen repairs his machine. It begins to glow, but is hit with a piece of a zombie during the combat. This causes it to malfunction, ripping holes in reality across the multiverse. It is then that a stand-in for the player character is sucked into a portal in the sky during the middle of combat. They appear in the ruined world next to Richtofen and co. He looks them in the eyes and asks, "Let's make a deal, stranger." This leads to the player character allying with Primis in the Undead Siege mode and helping Richtofen eventually repair the machine and use it to send them back to their home destination, repairing the multiverse. So yeah, in the old Aetherverse there are many untold stories we never saw. For example, in one of the issues of the comics we saw Ultimus Richtofen replace Primis Richtofen on Revelations, and in one version of the cycle that happened. Maybe it was an alternative version of the Giant where instead Ultimus Richtofen killed Primis Richtofen instead of the other way around. We also learned on the Giant that Nikolai said he had killed many Richtofens before when suffering from 115 delusions. These could have just been in prior versions of the cycle. He references many other versions of Richtofen, in fact to Captain Hook Richtofen to be specific.
But at least there is now one less Richtofen to deal with. If it is any consolation, tell him that the first one is the hardest. I should know. I've killed at least 3 Richtofens. There was the one in the fire, the one with the bolt hook, and the one... What? No one told me. Sorry. Forget what I just said. Everything will be fine.
So whilst the Call of Duty Mobile storyline does not affect the zombie storyline overall and is not part of the Dark Aether story at all, we can kind of look at it as this self-contained thing. Like I said, we can kind of just write it off as just being one version of events in the infinite multiverse, and not take it too seriously, but still exist in the wider universe. Now before we continue with the rest of the interesting storyline of Call of Duty Mobile, I first have an amazing game to let you be aware of, so stay tuned and we'll be right back to continue with the story. Enjoy. I've got something really unique to share with you, Narcalid. It's an incredible game that focuses on peaceful exploration, platforming, and puzzles. What I'm sure most Call of Duty Zombies fans love. What sets it apart is how it teaches and integrates real meditation and yoga techniques which are foundational to the game. In Narcalid, you'll dive into a beautiful and mysterious world filled with cryptic messages from the past. You will use meditation skills to navigate through compelling spiritual narratives and open the gateway to Earth before Mother Narcalid becomes unstoppable. The game also emphasizes reclaiming lost abilities and deciphering sacred texts that have been secret for thousands of years. Heal the wounds of epic bosses, learn to coexist with exotic creatures, and use the power of meditation to purify the planet. One of the coolest features is the seamless cooperative multiplayer for up to 4 players locally. Whether you play solo or with friends, you'll enjoy exploring the remains of once great civilizations, healing epic bosses, and learning to coexist with exotic creatures. Narcalid is built to offer a compelling solo player experience and an adventure that can be enjoyed as a team as well. Each ambassador character in the game comes equipped with a unique multi-tool, from a wall-shattering projectile to a projectile-shunting shield. The game offers precise controls, challenging puzzles, tricky platforms, and epic bosses. From the ancient texts that move along the narrative to the multiple environmental hazards of an unknown territory, Narcalid challenges you to see the universe differently. The deep spiritual principles embedded in the gameplay will keep you intensely focused and immersed throughout your adventure. Get ready to unlock all your chakras and conquer all the dangers and threats that Mother Narcalid holds for you. Tons of enemies and bosses are waiting for you in the depths of this unknown world. There are 4 unique characters, each with their own unique skills and powers. I got to experience the spiritual and mindfulness adventure in Narcalid as they kindly let me enjoy their early access, and you can check it out on Steam, as well as wishlist it ahead of its full release soon. Dive into the serene and challenging world, unlock your chakras, and conquer all the dangers and threats. Trust me, you don't want to miss this, and I want to give a huge thank you to the developers Lotus Mountain Creative for kindly sponsoring this video so I can showcase it with you. I hope it intrigues you. Now let's dive back in, continuing Call of Duty Mobile story, beginning at the 3rd season of COD Mobile in 2021, Tokyo Escape. In the scorching desert, Soap stumbles upon a gruesome scene. A drug cartel has been annihilated by a DEA/CIA agent named Rosa. Impressed by her lethal efficiency, Soap comments on it, and Rosa nonchalantly replies, "I was bored." Seizing the opportunity, Soap offers her a job with the UAC, suggesting she could take down more bad guys like them. Meanwhile, Menendez is being interrogated by Shepard and Price. Menendez is tight-lipped, so Price warns him that Shepard has a volatile temper. Menendez sarcastically asks if they are playing the good cop, bad cop routine. Price retorts that Shepard is the bad cop and he is the worst cop. Menendez then reveals that the government believes he died during a mission in the raid. Under pressure, Menendez finally spills the beans. Hidora Kai has returned to Tokyo to rebuild the 5 Knights, while Templar has been sent to a Texas desert hideout to uncover what Ghost missed. The storyline is absolutely crazy, and it's so wild seeing all of these crossover characters interacting and so different to their forms we are used to. Shepard and Price then updates their UAC team on the latest intel. Mara has gone rogue to find out what happened to Ghost. Price plans to have Rosa and Charlie join his team in Texas, while Alex and Soap are assigned to capture Hidora Kai in Tokyo. Despite their reservations, Alex remarks that he has always wanted to visit Tokyo. Upon arriving, Alex and Soap storm a building linked to the Yakuza. Hidora, aware of their pursuit, orders his men to eliminate them while he attempts to escape. Alex intercepts Hidora, who draws his sword. After a fierce battle, Hidora is knocked unconscious and captured. However, his henchmen relentlessly chase them. The duo manages to escape in a vehicle driven by an ally. As they are pursued, they encounter someone resembling Spectre. Alex instructs the driver to run him over, but Spectre leaps onto the roof and fatally stabs the driver. The car crashes, sending everyone flying, but Hidora, Alex, Soap, and Spectre survive. Hidora attempts to flee, ordering his men meant to kill Alex and Soap. The two fend off the attackers and steal motorcycles to prevent Hedora's escape. Alex tells Soap to head to the extraction point. As they fight off more henchmen, they race to the docks where a boat is waiting. Soap doubts they can make it, prompting Alex to sarcastically ask if he has a better idea. They barely make it onto the boat by driving off a wooden ramp, forcing Hedora's henchmen to halt their pursuit. With Hedora in custody, Soap and Alex sail away from Tokyo. In Texas, Price, accompanied by Rosa, Charlie and a group of soldiers, along with the bound Mace, arrives at the facility where Templar had been sent. Price seeks insights from Mace about the facility, but Mace claims to be uninformed. Charlie expresses her reluctance to be on the mission with Mace. Mace asserts his equal disdain for Templar and willingness to kill on command, but Price prioritizes his knowledge of the facility and sends him in first. As the team advances, Templar ambushes them, killing the soldiers. Price orders his team to eliminate Templar, but complications arise when Cecilia, Dame Perrin, Templar's female companion, joins the fray. Dame disarms Charlie and Rosa, while Templar stabs Mace's hand. Rose attempts to fight both Dame and Templar with a knife, but is ultimately subdued along with the rest of the group. Meanwhile, on a boat, Shepard interrogates Hedora, who refuses to divulge information. Shepard mentions Raul Menendez's cooperation, but Hedora insists he is not Raul and will not be detained for long. Alex and Soap dismiss concerns about being followed, asserting their secrecy. Shepard inquires about the fifth night, but Hedora remains silent. Shepard responds with violence, insisting the fifth night will eventually be revealed. Hedora suggests they should be more concerned about their friends in Texas. In Texas, Price and his team are captured and tied to pillars. Templar notes Dame might have struck Rosa too hard, rendering her unconscious. Dame doubts Rosa's state, leading Rosa to spit in her face. Templar punches Rosa, who knocks him, prompting Price to comment on Templar's sensitivity. Templar threatens Price with a knife. Gabriel Rourke arrives, questioning Mace's alliance with the enemy. Mace echoes Makarov's sentiment, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." There are so many Easter eggs and references to the old story. It's so interesting, even though this story is so different. I love them paying homage. Rourke suggests Mace prefers the winning side but chooses poorly. He declares everything's in position. Elsewhere, Adler visits the ghost ship and meets Captain Merrick, suspecting Price and his team fell into a trap due to radio silence. Adler asks if Merrick will inform General Shepard, to which Merrick agrees. They also visit the ghost's German shepherd, Riley. Meanwhile, Vaga Modir leads a fleet pursuing Hedora. Observing the ship holding Hedora, she notes they remain undetected and orders her team to prepare. As Shepard mocks Hedora's expectations, the ship's alarm signals the approaching fleet. Hedora taunts Shepard, suggesting his error. Alex and Soap prepare for defense. During the attack, Alex admits their disadvantage. Soap orders Modir to withdraw, but she refuses. Her wolf attacks Soap, allowing her to push him off the ship. She confronts Alex but finds Shepard holding Hedora at gunpoint. Back in Texas, Rourke instructs his mercenaries to separate the UAC forces. He claims knowledge of Shepard's position and seeks Adler's location. Price expresses fatigue with the 5 nights. Rourke, indifferent to their motives, is content as long as he is paid. Price accuses Rourke of being a puppet, which Rourke readily admits. Mace suddenly breaks free from his restraints, attacking Rourke. Rosa also frees herself and reaches for a dropped gun, but Rourke uses the pipe to subdue them both. Rourke, frustrated, demands Adler's location from Price. Adler reveals himself, announcing backup. Although Adler appears with only a squad, he introduces a shocking ally, Ghost, who is alive, accompanied by Riley. The operators are astonished as Ghost declares, "You can't kill a ghost." Ghost, determined to resolve his conflict with Templar, faces an immediate threat by Templar and throws a knife at him. Ghost skillfully deflects the knife, returning it to strike Rourke in the arm, thereby disarming him. Ghost orders his team to secure both Rourke and the facility while he handles Templar. However, Rourke opts to retreat, instructing Dame to accompany him to an underground bunker, leaving Templar to confront Ghost and his team. Unbeknownst to Rourke and Dame, Adler is lying in wait within the bunker. At sea, Soap is rescued by Alex, but they arrive too late to stop Modir and Hedora from escaping. They find Shepard tied up inside a cabin. Concurrently, the Ghost's ship arrives, engaging the vessels surrounding the UAC ship. As Hedora and Modir flee, they note their dire situation with several of their ships destroyed by the Ghost. Ghost and Templar engage in a fierce battle, during which Ghost references a dark covenant and reveals that he knows Templar's real name, Edouard, which irritates Templar. Simultaneously, Rosa frees Price and Charlie, while Mace declares his intent to pursue Templar. Price supports Mace's decision as they attempt to prevent Rourke's escape. Templar is attacked by both Ghost and Mace, but manages to fend them off, injuring Mace. Ghost throws Templar to the ground and attempts a finishing move, which fails, leading Templar to kick him away. Ghost recovers and stabs Templar in the leg, but Templar retaliates, slashing slashing Ghost across the face with his wrist blade. Meanwhile, Adler shoots Rourke in the ear as he tries to reach a helicopter. Rourke orders Dame to kill Adler, which she eagerly attempts. Mace informs Ghost that he is on his own due to his injuries. Templar continues to press Ghost, attempting to stab him in the head. Ghost blocks the knife with his palm, breaks Templar's arm, and puts him in a submission hold, preparing to kill him. Dame arrives just in time to save Templar, kicking Ghost away and escaping with Templar. Rourke escapes in a helicopter, but Price notes that it is not a long-range aircraft and likely headed for a nearby ship. He radios operators to inform Shepard. In the facility, Adler assists Ghost, who laments that Dame kicked him in the same spot Templar wounded him a year ago. Adler reminds him that their life leaves scars, but the fight is not over. Ghost instructs Adler to find Price and the others. As they leave, they discover what appears to be Mara's body, leaving them shocked and horrified. Ghost is deeply affected, crying in denial, but Price restrains and consoles him, reminding him that it is part of their job. Rourke and Modir discuss the recent battle on Modir's ship, realizing they are pursued by the UAC and Ghost. They deploy mines to deter their pursuers, but as Ghost notes, the Five Knights escape. Adler mentions contacting his South American contacts as part of old school methods. He believes Rourke is headed to a specific location. Rourke and his team arrive in Panama, greeted by a local arms dealer named Boss, Rot in-game. Hedora expresses doubts, but Rourke silences him. Dame worries about Templar's injuries, insisting he should be in a hospital. They discuss the Five Knights, with Dame suggesting Templar should lead instead of Rourke and Hedora. On the Ghost ship, Rosa and Price discuss an upcoming assignment in Panama. Price wants Rosa to go undercover despite her concerns about lacking immediate backup. He reassures her of her skills and that she won't be easily noticed by Rourke. Rosa agrees to the assignment, demanding hazard pay. Rosa meets with Rot, who confronts a buyer about lying and sets him on fire. Rot, a vegetarian, jokes about not wasting a good murder. Rosa attempts to bargain for some FHJs, but Rot warns her against wasting his time. She agrees to the deal and later finds intel. Rosa infiltrates a compound and finds a briefcase, but is ambushed by Dame. Rosa guns her down, but is stopped from finishing her off by Rot and his men. With her cover blown, Rosa escapes by leaping onto rooftops, pursued by Rot. She steals a bike and rides to a cliff where Ghost rescues her via helicopter. Ghost is impressed by her skills, and Rosa responds that girls need to have fun. Elsewhere, Hakan Daemir Pala resolves a hostage situation by killing all the gunmen, including the one threatening hostages. Charlie and Price survey the area, with Charlie questioning Price's extensive network. Daemir greets Price, addressing him as lieutenant instead of captain, which Price corrects. Daemir notes Macmillan's retirement and inquires about his assignment. Price needs a scout familiar with a specific terrain, which piques Daemir's interest. Templar and Dame prepare for action, with Templar wearing his old dark armor and Dame in her usurper uniform. Cecilia praises Templar's leadership potential and urges him to kill Rourke and lead the Five Knights. Templar refuses to betray Rourke, but Cecilia argues it would be serving the soldiers better. She reveals the rest of the Dark Covenant, including Dark Shepherd, Anna Artery Buckler, Cryptis, Witch Doctor, and Stansfield. Rourke scolds Rot for their mission failure, blaming him for leading the UAC to him. Templar confronts Rourke, who orders his mercs to kill Templar. Rot exfils, leaving the Dark Covenant to attack Rourke's mercs. Rourke retreats but is trapped by Stansfield blowing up his ship. Rourke fights Templar but is stabbed. He arrogantly claims the world will belong to the Five Knights and the Federation. Dame dismisses his arrogance, declaring the Dark Covenant's victory. Rourke mocks them as zealots, and Dame kills him by slitting his throat. Shepard briefs UAC operators on the Five Knights amassing at Blackout, preparing for a massive assault. Soap and Price bring in Gary Roach Sanderson, with Soap mirroring Price's first meeting with him. Price's team infiltrates Blackout to locate and eliminate Hedora K. They encounter dead Spec Ops soldiers suspecting Templar's involvement. Templar joined the Dark Covenant for his daughter Sophia's sake and seeks to leave the mess. Dame insists Sophia is safer with the Covenant and urges Templar to stay. Templar demands an explanation, and Cecilia reveals Sophia's fate, leading Templar to kill Cecilia and vow to destroy the Covenant. Price's team encounters Hedora, who taunts them before being fatally wounded by Price. Hedora mocks Price, claiming everything is going dark. Another homage. Price kills Hedora and discovers a countdown timer. Shepard is informed of the Five Knights' weakened forces. Ghost finds the Fifth Knight, Adler, in a surveillance room. Adler reveals his actions were for the greater good, citing a false flag scenario. Ghost is horrified by Adler's betrayal. Adler claims his actions were to defeat Russian threats and insists his sacrifices were necessary. Ghost shoots Adler, who falls off a cliff, revealing a lighter. Price informs Ghost of nuclear bombs launched by the Five Knights. A missile hits Blackout, causing a nuclear explosion. Shepard debriefs Ghost, blaming him for the disaster. Ghost is ordered to tie up loose ends, another homage. Price questions Ghost's loyalty but acknowledges the unknown status of the Five Knights and the Dark Covenant. Ghost mentions Adler's reference to Hudson, leading to further investigation. Ghost raids a remote house, finding Hudson dead with a note mentioning Stansfield. Reznov reveals Stansfield's history of mind control experiments and his escape from Volcuta. Stansfield's actions led to the creation of the Dark Covenant. Ghost and Templar ambush Dark Covenant members, targeting Witch Doctor, Cryptis, Dark Shepherd, and Artery. They gather information about Stanfield's location in Alaska. Templar reminds Ghost of their deal to retrieve Sophia and a DSM. They prepare for the mission with backup from Soap, Alex, and Silver. Vaga Modir joins them, despite tensions. In Alaska, Firebreak and Dark Covenant soldiers ambush the group. Ghost and Templar continue their mission while the rest hold off the attackers. Templar rescues Modir but is shot by Ghost, who takes the DSM. Sophia escapes the gunfire and mourns Templar's death. Makarov plans to steal valuable data from the Hacienda. He confronts Elderman and betrays his team. Dame, still alive, has the vault's contents. They agree to work together against the common enemies. Nikto holds civilians hostage and Ghost's team infiltrates the building. Cypher incapacitates Nikto and the UAC arrives to take him. Ghost is wary of the new UAC members but agrees to follow them. Price's team arrives in Morocco with Cypher. Phantom attacks them but Foxtrot intervenes. Spectre and Price engage in combat with Roach saving Price. Foxtrot reveals Cypher is her brother. Foxtrot shares her background and Cypher's capture by Ortelius. They uncover Ortelius's experiments on soldiers and escape with vital data. Price questions why Foxtrot didn't come to him sooner. She reveals Ortelius's widespread influence and the need to stop them. Prior to addressing their query, they are informed of 3 unidentified aircrafts approaching their location. One of these aircrafts is piloted by Nikto, who has been assigned the mission to eliminate the UAC team. In the airspace over Morocco, Nikto engages in an aerial battle with Captain Price's team. Despite Price successfully repelling one of the aircrafts, he realizes they are outmatched and is compelled to eject from his aircraft, instructing Foxtrot to take Cypher and jump. Nikto subsequently shoots down Price's aircraft but fails to notice Price, Foxtrot, and Cypher descending to the ground, and he mistakenly confirms his target is neutralized. Meanwhile, in Caucasus, Makarov, Wraith, and Sophia, Kotu, convene with Cryptis, Nyx, and an enigmatic man. Wraith expresses surprise at Cryptis' survival, and Sophia comments that her father would be furious if he knew Cryptis was still alive. Despite Makarov's reassurances that they are taking Cryptis seriously and have the right individual, Wraith and Sophia remain skeptical. The mysterious man is revealed to be Roger Vachon, a representative from Ortelius, who proceeds to discuss business matters with Makarov. Outside the meeting room, Cryptis taunts Sophia about wearing her father's mask on her belt, leading to a confrontation between the two. Amidst their conversation, Makarov begins to interrogate Vachon about his provisions, causing Vachon to become visibly anxious. Outside, Sophia remarks that Cryptis is unimpressive up close, to which Wraith retorts that she isn't either, but it doesn't make her any less dangerous. Nyx then receives a radio message indicating that Zurich has been compromised. Overhearing this, Sophia and Wraith attack Cryptis, prompting Nyx to intervene and fend off the pair. During this time, Makarov informs Vachon that he possesses data in his briefcase, including confidential identities, medical histories, known addresses, and thousands of names. Vachon attempts to deny it, leading Makarov to reveal his true identity as Cedric Montepier, a resident of Zurich with a wife named Helen and 2 children, Roman and Celeste. At the moment, the man's phone rings, and Makarov instructs him to answer it, noting that it is his wife calling. Nyx defeats Sophia, and Wraith, with assistance from Cryptis, then directs Cryptis to apprehend Vachon. He bursts into the room but is ordered to stand down by Montepier, who reveals that his family have been taken hostage. Makarov assures Montepier that his family will be returned unharmed once he answers a few questions, starting with his true employer. Elsewhere at Atlas Corporation, Aether is informed that there is still no sign of Montepier's family, and that Zurich's police department has agreed to stay out of their operation, allowing them to maintain containment. She is also notified that one of her security detail members is severely wounded but has been saved by doctors. Aether then orders a care package to be delivered to that person's family and termination letter to be drafted. SecOps chief, realizing Makarov's involvement, she informs her mysterious clients that his involvement changes everything. Atlas Corporation unveils New Vision City, their miracle in the desert, and the fastest growing city in the world. It transformed from a barren desert to a metropolis with a population of 1 million in a single decade. The headquarters of Atlas Corporation and the exclusive residence of its executives, their families, and invited guests is a playground for the ultra wealthy. It is also shrouded in mystery, surrounded by miles of inhospitable land patrolled by Gaz, located deep inside a small desert nation. A veil of secrecy and disinformation has kept it well hidden for years, earning New Vision City names such as the Invisible City, Atlas's Big Dirty Secret, and the most exclusive place on Earth. In New Vision City's robotics lab, Elias is greeted by Aether, who requests her assistance with the matter, to which she agrees. Aether seeks Elias's honest opinion about Division A. Elias comments their Iron Will project is impressive yet intimidating, and she used their AI to expedite her work on the Reaper program, cutting a year off their schedule, which she finds almost frightening. Additionally, Elias mentions that a good friend of hers, with whom she shared a flat, transferred to Division A within a week. He was moved to the on-site dormitory with another Division A coder. She notes that he hasn't spoken to her since then and feels that Division A is like a cult, which is why she refused a position there. Aether tells Elias that she needs to reconsider, as she suspects Division A has a hidden agenda and plans to send Elias to spy on them. Meanwhile, in eastern Morocco, Gaz and Alex Keller are dispatched on a rescue mission for Captain Price after he was shot down in the desert by Nikto. Alex requests backup but is denied and ordered to fall back to the extraction site and awaits the medevac team. Despite Alex's protest that Foxtrot and Cypher are missing in action, he is denied support. Suddenly, Sparrowhawk appears and attacks both sides. However, she is taken out by the UAC reinforcements before she can harm Alex and Gaz. The pair are then instructed to proceed to their target. They arrive at the extraction site and find a group of wounded guerrillas. One of them manages to inform them that Cypher found them before they could find him. Elsewhere, Hedora Kai is seen meditating in a garden until Aether interrupts him. Hedora initially believes it to be a trick, but Aether assures him it is not. Hedora laments that he feels dead and that the garden is his hell. Flowers without fragrance, tea he cannot taste, water he cannot drown in, and a garden of empty beauty and soulless comfort. Hedora demands that Aether stop toying with him, and she instructs someone to wake him up. Hedora awakens in a lab, which Aether confirms is Atlas's headquarters medical center. Having been augmented with cybernetic enhancements, Aether informs him that he has been in a medically induced coma for over a year, and that the garden was part of a simulation to prevent neurological atrophy and spare him months of painful rehabilitation. Although Hedora is skeptical of Atlas's generosity, Aether assures him that he will never be their slave, as they have invested significantly in him and wish to keep him content. She then instructs Hedora to get dressed and meet her in his office. Hedora later meets with Aether, now wearing his shotgun uniform, and remarks that his new kit is well crafted but designed for one purpose: killing. Aether confirms this and states that she wants him to eliminate Makarov. At the UAC operations base in Tel Aviv, Israel, Alex, Gaz, Tempest, and Keegan are briefed about Cypher and Foxtrot. Cypher has reportedly evaded UAC and People's Covenant cordons in Morocco's Vigug desert and remains at large, while Foxtrot, formerly First Lieutenant Dennis McDaniels, has been charged as an accessory and is considered a terrorist sympathizer. The UAC promises the apprehension or termination of Cypher. Tempest, Gaz, and Alex deny that Foxtrot is a terrorist, and Alex requests evidence against her. The agents remind them that Foxtrot resigned her commission and, in pursuit of her brother's whereabouts, committed numerous criminal acts. Upon contacting Cypher, she went radio silent and is believed to be aiding her brother's escape, until new intelligence refutes her motives. Foxtrot and Cypher are both considered enemy combatants. Gaz feels that the top priority of apprehending and terminating Cypher is an overreaction and discusses this further with Alex. Meanwhile, the agents have identified 20 People's Covenant sites within reachable distance from where Foxtrot and Cypher were last observed. Following the briefing, the pair further discuss Foxtrot and Cypher. Tempest finds it absurd that Foxtrot would defect to the People's Covenant, as she knows her personally, while Keegan notes that 2 of the sites they are to investigate have been inactive for over a year, information he knows because he helped dismantle one of them. Alex deduces that Cypher and Foxtrot might possess sensitive information, and by default, anyone close to them is considered to also possess that information, implying someone is afraid of what they might know and is targeting them. He realizes they must reach them before anyone else does, or they will be killed, and the root of the issue will die with them. Meanwhile, back in Caucasus, Makarov is pleased to learn that Atlas Corporation has agreed to meet with him at a location of his choosing. Wraith and Sophia dismiss this as a trap intended to kill him. Makarov is offended by the lack of faith, but admits they are correct. He advises Sophia that by making Atlas afraid, he has forced them to act prematurely and make mistakes. By agreeing to meet with him, Atlas has made their first mistake. Elsewhere, on the coast of the Caspian Sea, Hedora Kai and a group of undercover operatives are dispatched to eliminate Makarov. However, they discover that their target is a decoy. Reinforcements led by Dame and her troops then arrive. Makarov orders Dame to leave no survivors, which she complies with, resulting in Honora's team being gunned down before they can react. Makarov's group arrives in New Vision City with Monteper in tow. They hide inside of shipping containers on their way to storage in a warehouse. Upon entering the facility, Sophia successfully breaches the container and reports that the area is secure. Wraith expresses her surprise and admiration, having initially estimated their chances of success at 1 in 100. Makarov extends his gratitude to Monteper for the use of his extensive priority shipping, which enabled them to circumvent scanners and security checks. Monteper inquires about his family's safety, to which Makarov assures him that they were released as soon as they landed. Makarov then acknowledges that Monteper has fulfilled his part of the agreement and subsequently kills him. Meanwhile, Wraith packs a substantial amount of C4 into a duffel bag, noting the urgency and the extensive area they need to cover. Makarov instructs her to gather her equipment and prepare to move. Sophia questions whether Makarov truly released Monteper's family unharmed as promised, and he confirms that he did, asserting that he is not a monster. Suddenly, there is a loud banging on the shutters, which open to reveal a squad of armed troopers accompanied by Samuel. Zombies are then back. In New Vision City, Cypher is greeted by Dark Shepherd, who remarks over the effort it took to reinstate Cypher, especially given his actions against the recovery team in Morocco, which Cypher identifies as Nikto's hit squad. Cypher compliments Dark Shepherd's new suit, but Dark Shepherd remains unimpressed, reminding Cypher that many still consider him a security risk, and that his only hope is that Dark Shepherd is not among them. Cypher, unfazed by Dark Shepherd's tone, reveals that he has brought gifts as a token of appreciation. Dark Shepherd recognizes Cypher's animosity towards Atlas Corporation and understands his desire for retribution. However, he warns Cypher that any betrayal will result in the death of everyone Cypher cares about before Cypher himself is killed. Cypher reassures Dark Shepherd of his unwavering loyalty and reveals a bound Foxtrot in the back of his truck, asserting that offering his own flesh and blood should earn some trust. Elsewhere in Warehouse 9 of the East Industrial District in New Vision City, Makarov, Sophia and Wraith narrowly escape from Samuel and his troops by scaling the roof. Samuel discovers Monteper's body and reports a complication to his superiors. At the medical center in New Vision City, Foxtrot is restrained and escorted by Dark Shepherd and his troops, along with Cypher. Foxtrot deduces that Cypher was not missing from his UAC operation, but was instead extracted, questioning how much Atlas Corporation paid him to betray the UAC. Cypher clarifies that he was on a deep cover operation gathering intelligence on the UAC, leading Foxtrot to believe that his death was faked and he was declared killed in action and smuggled out. Cypher confirms the mission's success and confronts Foxtrot about her motives, noting that she has barely spoken to him in the past 20 years, except at their father's funeral, and that she should not presume to know him. Cypher suddenly seizes a guard's gun and uses it to eliminate the other guards in the room, sparing Foxtrot. After incapacitating the guard, he frees Foxtrot, urging her to run as they only have 60 seconds. Foxtrot, still confused, thanks Cypher for her freedom, but he dismisses her gratitude, stating that he is not doing it for her. Dark Shepherd recovers and prepares to fight, reminding Cypher of his promise. Meanwhile, Makarov, Sophia and Wraith are in another part of New Vision City, planting C4 charges at various locations. They then encounter another building where Makarov holds a guard at gunpoint to force his compliance. He instructs Wraith to secure the area, which he has already done. Makarov then forces entry into a hidden room with several other guards and kills the one he was holding at gunpoint. The remaining guards surrender. Sophia observes that Atlas Corporation seem to be making little effort to defend the location, given its importance. Makarov explains that New Vision City security is sufficient and that they have navigated a narrow path to reach their current position, the secure digital archive containing all of Atlas Corporation's technological innovations, strategies, and secrets. Simultaneously, Dark Shepherd engages in combat with Foxtrot and Cypher. He manages to incapacitate Cypher, but is ultimately killed by Foxtrot, who shoots him with another gun. Foxtrot demands an explanation from Cypher, who reveals that he was supposed to die in Lisbon as part of Atlas Corporation's betrayal. He declares their intent to expose the entire operation. Alias records in a personal log about the gunfire in New Vision City and her assumption that Atlas Corporation and the UAC are allies. She is then summoned to a mission briefing with Spectre, where she learns about the UAC's attempt to install orbital rangefinders in New Vision City. Her mission, alongside Spectre, is to disable these devices. Before the mission, Alias plans to use her non-lethal prototype to neutralize targets, but Spectre questions her understanding of the situation. Alias believes they are in a conflict with the good guys, but Spectre argues that there are no good guys, only those who align with Atlas Corporation and those who do not accept reality. UAC. During the mission, they neutralize the first target, and despite a UAC trooper's surrender, Spectre kills him, much to Alias's dismay. Continuing alone, Alias encounters a wounded UAC soldier who tries to inform her that Atlas Corporation is harboring terrorists, but is killed by Spectre before he can finish. Frustrated with Spectre's behavior, Alias confronts him, calling him a murderous psycho, but he dismisses her. Spectre aims his weapon at Alias, testing her allegiance to Atlas. Alias decides to abandon Atlas if it means siding with Spectre. Spectre attempts to kill her, but a falling helicopter intervenes. Alias later escapes to Corsica. Deciding to let things calm down and hoping Atlas Corporation believes her dead, she resolves to take action against them. Foxtrot records a live broadcast in which Cypher reveals himself as a deep cover operative for Atlas Corporation, gathering intelligence on the UAC. He discloses that Atlas Corporation, the People's Covenant, and Ortelius are interconnected, with Atlas channeling resources to the People's Covenant through Ortelius, thereby funding terrorism to later intervene for profit. Aether, alarmed by the broadcast, orders a security detail to locate Cypher and ponders how the situation deteriorated so rapidly. She observes the director's silence during the crisis and questions his lack of response to Cypher's actions, which threaten their hard-earned achievements. The director responds that the situation was inevitable, blaming the board's ambition for their downfall. When Aether asks if he anticipated this, he confirms that the Iron Will did, and that the board had authorized the creation of the People's Covenant through Ortelius, diverting resources and technology via trafficked networks, and even sanctioned Cypher's termination. The director elaborates that these decisions were designed to lead to the board's demise. Aether believes the programs were only initiated by the board, but the director asserts that they acted on the Iron Will's advice. He explains that such men are easy to manipulate as long as the Iron Will fed their greed. They did not question it, repeatedly asking for power and wealth, oblivious to the fact that the information they received was tainted. Aether deduces that Division A controls the Iron Will and realizes that it served the director, not the board, who remained unaware of the poisoned information. Aether concludes that the director is orchestrating a coup to eliminate the board, as they have outlived their usefulness. He advises Aether to focus not on salvaging the situation, but on her next steps, knowing that the UAC will target all of them, not just Foxtrot and Cypher. At the UAC base in Israel, Tempest, Keegan, and Bulldozer watch Cypher's broadcast and deliberate their next move. Keegan informs them that their intelligence division has designated Foxtrot and Cypher as top priority, and their mission is clear. They must go to New Vision City and apprehend Foxtrot and Cypher before anyone else does. Bulldozer questions what they will do if Atlas Corporation refuses to cooperate, to which Keegan replies that they will have to compel them. In New Vision City's digital archive, Sophia informs Makarov of incoming company. Surprised, Makarov wonders if he underestimated Atlas's competence. Wraith suggests destroying the place, but Makarov opts to fight first to make Atlas perceive their desperation. He then grabs a grenade launcher and begins firing while laughing maniacally. Aether realizes the UAC will persist until they capture Foxtrot and Cypher. The director notes that the board is too assured of their invulnerability to prevent this. Aether decides to contact the board to avert disaster, but the director destroys the phone, declaring her loyalty to the board obsolete. He reveals that he knows Aether sent Elias to infiltrate Division A, aware of her doubts about the board's actions. He further states that humanity can no longer afford leaders who would consume the world for their gain, leaving only destruction, and the board had to be removed. A UAC transport aircraft approaches New Vision City's airspace 50 kilometers away. The city's air traffic controller warns them to turn back or face consequences. Alex asserts that their mission to apprehend Foxtrot and Cypher is authorized and interfering would violate international law. However, the automated controller repeats the warning, frustrating Keegan, Tempest, and Bulldozer. They wonder how to locate the siblings and whether Atlas already has them, with Tempest noting that Atlas would boast about it if they did. Keegan explains that Foxtrot's fugitive status gives the UAC legal grounds to intervene. He urges them to trust Foxtrot, believing she will make contact when she sees them, though Tempest remains anxious. In the digital archive room, Atlas troops have Makarov's group cornered in the command center. With no backup available, Makarov decides it's time to leave and instructs Wraith to set off the charges. Multiple explosions rock New Vision City, shaking the office where Aether, the director, and Samuel are. The director observes that the coup has begun. The UAC team also sees the explosions, leaving them in shock, especially Tempest, who is in denial. In a control room, Atlas officials are alarmed by reports of UAC attacks and multiple explosions in New Vision City. The captain orders the sky carrier to be launched, realizing they are vulnerable. Meanwhile, the city's landscape is engulfed in fire and ashes, which Makarov relishes. Sophia praises Makarov's work but questions its relevance to finding Ghost. Makarov responds that it is not yet time for that, that. Spectre then emerges, pleased to see them. New Vision City issues an emergency broadcast advising citizens to seek shelter and stay tuned for updates. Those unable to find shelter are directed to the nearest public emergency center. Spectre questions if Makarov is having another tantrum and imagines the city in flames. Makarov, Sophia, and Wraith then open fire on Spectre, initiating their battle. Spectre activates the poltergeist ability to evade incoming fire, simultaneously knocking aside Makarov and Wraith. Sophia watches in shock. At Makarov's instruction, Sophia shoots at a nearby fire hydrant, causing water to spray and disable Spectre's poltergeist ability. Concurrently, Atlas Corporation's Sky Carrier opens fire on UAC planes. Keegan questions why no one is informing Atlas that the UAC is not attacking them. The pilot explains that interference on all frequencies prevents communication, making it impossible for Atlas to hear them or for the UAC to call for backup. On the rooftop of the medical center in New Vision City, Cypher expresses surprise that Atlas's board is confronting the UAC, as he doubted their resolve. Foxtrot notes that Cypher seems overly pleased by the situation. Cypher responds that they should be happy to witness Atlas Corporation's self-destruction, revealing that the board is not as invincible as they seem. Foxtrot sternly reminds him that people are dying, including those who trusted him and those he was paid to spy on. She hands him a flare to signal the UAC. On the street, Makarov and his group continue fighting Spectre. Spectre attacks Wraith, throwing her into a building, then targets Makarov, disarming and injuring him severely. As Spectre moves to finish off Makarov, Wraith recovers and shoots Spectre multiple times in the head, incapacitating him. She applies a tourniquet to Makarov's severed arm, noting his significant blood loss. Sophia then suggests an idea and asks them to follow her. Meanwhile, a fleet of Reapers arrives on the battlefield and spots the flare sent by Cypher and Foxtrot. Cypher comments on Foxtrot's efforts to find him, while Foxtrot reflects on whether she should have left him alone. She accuses Cypher of betraying people when it suits him and wonders when it will be her turn. Cypher retorts that she abandoned him with their father, who worsened after she left. Their argument is interrupted by an attack from the Reapers. They fend off the attackers until a UAC plane arrives, shooting down the Reapers and picking up Foxtrot and Cypher. Foxtrot criticizes the UAC for being late, to which Keegan responds humorously about the traffic. He also remarks on the chaos caused by Foxtrot's actions. They then focus on how to escape the city, while the city carrier remains operational. Tempest informs the crew of incoming Reaper drones as Keegan orders his team to the transport. A bright light from an orbital strike on the Sky Carrier illuminates the area, forcing everyone, including the director, Aether, Samuel, Sophia, and Wraith, to shield their eyes. During the confusion, Aether slips away, but the director orders Samuel to form a squad to find him. Sophia and Wraith load the injured Makarov into an ambulance and drive him away. The closing narration references Julius Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon, symbolizing a point of no return. It suggests that whether tricked, forced, or acting on conviction, the UAC and Atlas Corporation crossed this line, dragging the world into a new era of uncertainty. Witnesses of the day's events knew that their world would never be the same. 6 months after the attack on New Vision City, Atlas Corporation faces trial, with multiple executives facing indictment and potential war crime charges from the United Nations. In San Francisco, Mr. Wong argues with his son about investments in Atlas Corporation. Wong is angry about a buyback offer for his Atlas stock, which has grown significantly in value. He demands his $100 billion worth of investments instead. After hanging up, he apologizes to Shadowfall for their argument. Shadowfall reassures him, noting that all families experience conflict and sharing that her family is no different. Mr. Wong comments that his son only cares about easy money and lacks understanding of the effort required to earn it. Their conversation is interrupted when Sparrowhawk attacks, and Shadowfall escorts Mr. Wong to the garage. Mr. Wong realizes his son may have betrayed him by siding with Atlas. Shadowfall urges him to focus on the immediate danger. In the garage, they find Mr. Wong's men dead and are attacked by Sparrowhawk. Shadowfall shoots at Sparrowhawk, who retaliates and injures Mr. Wong. He survives thanks to a bulletproof vest from Shadowfall. They escape in a car, but Sparrowhawk attacks again, wounding Shadowfall and causing a crash. Shadowfall insists they move, but they are confronted by additional Sparrowhawks. Elsewhere, Makarov struggles with his new arm, while Wraith advises him to adapt. Sophia is frustrated by the lack of progress in finding Ghost despite Makarov's assurances. Makarov, exasperated, tells Sophia to stop relying on others and start working independently, with Wraith unable to defuse the tension. Upon returning to a dormitory room, intending to rest, Sophia discovers Dame seated on her bed, holding the Templar mask. Sophia instructs Dame to put the mask down and leave immediately. In response, Dame reprimands Sophia for addressing her supposed mother in such a manner, a claim Sophia ridicules. Dame asserts that she is aware of Sophia's yearning for a strong parental figure to rectify her troubles. She highlights that, in her desperation for vengeance, Sophia Sophia allied with Makarov, whom Templar had attempted to kill, who had also tried to kill Dame. Dame then suggests that Sophia should learn how to perform a tracheostomy on herself, as it might be a life-saving skill. Sophia retorts by questioning Dame's point, equating her maternal claim to that of Makarov's. Dame reveals her knowledge of Sophia's return to the ice and inquires about the body. Sophia, now furious, commands Dame to leave and threatens to disembowel her if she intrudes again. Unperturbed, Dame assures Sophia that they will meet again and advises her to check the news. Upon turning on the television, Sophia is shocked to see a news report about Stitch capturing a chemical factory city owned by Atlas Corporation. The self-proclaimed Eagle of the Steppe pledges a Western purge of Central Asia. Meanwhile, Alex receives a letter of honourable discharge from the UAC in his mailbox and drives home. Upon arrival, he calls out for his dog, Jeb, and notices the front door is ajar, signalling something amiss. He draws his weapon, but an invisible figure swiftly knocks him into a cabinet. The invisible assailant then reveals himself to be Spectre. And that's all for now. We will once again leave the storyline here, as this video is way over half an hour long already, and we are only about halfway through what was left of the story since last time. Once again, like last time, if this video receives good receptions, I will produce a part 3 to finish up the storyline of where it currently is. Call of Duty Mobile storyline is actually currently still ongoing, so if this video receives well reception, I'll make a part 3 and then do a big video with all of the parts all together of the full storyline up until current day. So if you're interested to seeing what happens after Alex is discharged, or if we could see more Aether story characters make an appearance, leave a like and comment and let me know if you want to see more. And like I said, if I make that third video, I'll then compile everything into one big video for the full story. But with that being said, thank you for watching the video, and I'll hopefully see you on part 3.